We've done tutorials on hyperlapses before, but we've never actually done a tutorial on how to do time-lapses. This is a video on how to do time-lapses well. First thing you should do is consider what gear you should use.
I've considered bringing all sorts of gear, and I decided to bring all of them out, because I'm a filthy gear whore.
Yeah, and this is going to be the perfect place to do some time-lapses. It's a bloody big house. Just here. Well, how do you get in if it's locked? Oh, arse! Oh, bum cheeks.
Honestly, I would have done some research, but I broke the internets at home looking at nothing too dodgy.
Well, I can't do any David Blaine shit and get through these bars, so let's have a look over there. There's weak bridge apparently. What does that mean? It's not very good at lifting weights, or it's prone to catching illnesses or something.
If your camera doesn't have a time-lapse function built in, can you get a remote that does have it built in? Would you get one of these motorized things? Well, ideally you don't want to be out in the cold pressing camera shutter button every single time for hundreds of shots. Not just because you might get hemorrhoids sitting out in the cold, but because of stability.
You know what? Not that I'm finding it a bit of a hassle carrying all this, but let's just do it over there. That's fine, yeah? Yes. I've got my goodies here. Sony. Why? Because I'm sponsored by them, obviously. So what it's going to do is it's going to go up like that. But I'm not going to push it. It's motorized. Yes, with a wide angle, it's a little bit further away than I wanted. But they're closed. It's not my fault. Now the gear is kind of important, but the thing is, a lot of things do time lapses these days. The Sony A7 does kind of. You have to download an app. $7.99 for the time lapse. Sony can shove that right up their backside. All the way up their backside, all $7.99 of it. And they can keep the penny change too. Cheeky monkeys. Then you've got an iPhone. Time-lapse feature built in. This has a time-lapse also. It's a wonderful new feature on the Rodo mic. This also. See, everything does it. Everything but Canon. Now the reason why I say it's kind of important is because the camera isn't exactly the most important thing. The most important thing is that you keep it steady. Get a good tripod. Not a shit one like this one. But to prove you can get decent time lapses with just about anything. Oh, ball. Oh, scrotum. I just realised I'm taping over the screen. Yeah, I didn't think that one through, did I? Oh, you anus. You know what? I think I'm going to lose my gloves. Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's what I mean. Now, has that started yet? No. Yes, it started. And that's the great thing about this app. No, sorry, what am I saying? It's not an app. That's the great thing about this built-in feature is that you just press the button and then it just takes the pictures at intervals.
The iPhone does take reasonably good time lapses, puts all the shots together to make a single movie file, but you won't have any room for tinkering, and we all love a good tinker.
Then you might need to think about things like getting a remote, because when you're actually pressing this button, it does move the camera. No matter how sturdy your tripod is, it will move it probably. Even the slightest change in position, it'll mess up, I was going to swear, it's going to mess up your time lapse.
Go for manual settings with everything. White balance, exposure, aperture, focus, so it stays consistent throughout. One slight difference and it could ruin your smoothness. Your time lapse, not your personality.
Mirror slap. Cause vibrations, isn't it? Saying that, the old Sony A7s have that as well. Shutter shock. Listen to this. Whoa, the vibrations! Oh, I need to get under the table. Oh, shit. Okay, yes, and another thing, you have to get a manual lens like this. Now I've got these to connect the camera up to this thing. Suitable for use with some Sony cameras. Glad they're into their specifics. Please check our website for up-to-date details on compatible models. Okay, set this up. With time lapses, it's all about motion and Tai Chi, obviously. And then you can choose what interval to pick. The interval is the time in between each shot. So it takes a shot, 2 seconds, or it could be longer, it could be 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Now that all depends on the speed. When the clouds are moving really fast, you want it at a shorter interval. When they're really slow moving, you can have it a long interval. That, probably a couple of seconds actually. Now you can set it up on this thing as well. Let's go for 3 seconds. That's amazing!
Too long an interval for a fast moving subject and the movement on the final video won't look right. Too short an interval on a slow moving thing, probably a cloud, and it will take so long for it to move across the screen that you might as well just take a regular video. You can figure out how many shots you need to take by deciding on the final clip length. A 2-second clip at 25 frames per second equals, well, I don't have a calculator on me, but you'll see it on the screen here, probably. Or you could just download an app to help you do the math. I figured out I needed to be there for quite a bit of time, and it's cold outside, and I might get hemorrhoids consequently, so went off to get some coffee and cake, which I heard prevents hemorrhoids.
Okay, time to tuck into a bit of cake. Nice bit of carrot cake. Give me 2 forks for. Unbelievable. Oh, oops. It's a 5-second rule. It's fine. Tastes alright. Oh, it's paper.
You might be taking a load of still images, but treat it like a video. You don't necessarily want to freeze movement with a fast shutter speed because that will look jarring in a video, especially with a time-lapse. When you're shooting waterfalls, fast-moving water, you might want longer exposures in the seconds.
When it comes to picking shutter speeds, don't use a fast one because it can make the movements of some things like the water look a bit rough, look a bit choppy, like some kind of stop motion. The clouds look fine, but when it comes to the water and people, animals and stuff, it's best picking a slow shutter speed to smooth it out a bit.
Here's an example of how shutter speed can affect the look of the final thing. Some moving objects won't look great no matter the shutter speed. Some think tree branches and plants swaying about look fine, others don't.
Or you could just not take clouds and water at the same time. Can't believe this is closed. You shit of a gate. You metal bastard. Utter fucker of a gate. I'm not going to buy any more Microsoft products again just because Bill Gates. Not that I buy Microsoft anyway.
When it comes to compiling a time-lapse, there are different options. You could download something like this. Time-lapse ass, which assists your ass. You can put it through iMovie, or if you want to make sure it looks right, run the raw files through Lightroom to tweak the image. All you need to do is one image and copy and paste for the other so that they all look the same. Export to JPEG, import the first JPEG to After Effects, and it will sort out the rest. Then boom, export. If one of your images is slightly out of whack, you can use the warp stabilizer tool to sort that out.
Now, just because it's a time-lapse, don't think that you need lots of movement. You don't need a motorized slider to move the camera smoothly from right to left or left to right. You don't need some kind of 360-degree movement. You don't need lots of cloud movements with water movement, with people movement, with animal movements, boats on fire, people on fire, all happening at the same time. Just think of a nice composition first, like going into the grounds, not shooting outside the gates. Arseholes! Right.
Don't feel the need to make all the movements so contrived. Don't chuck everything in just because you can. The most important thing is subject, working out where the light will come from, which direction your camera will be facing at the location that you plan to be taking photos in. Basically, research before you go out. I would have done that, but my internet was... oh, never mind.